Hi, I'm Lillian McMorris, and welcome to the Lillian McMorris Show. This is where you can hear about events and programs and various things that are happening right here in our community. We have people that are doing special things that nobody knows about. We have authors of great books of interest, and we want to make sure that you know who they are. We have words of wisdom from loads of people in the community, but no one will know if we don't share it. And that's what you'll find right here on the Lillian McMorris Show. Our first guest for today's show is Mr. Jeremy Washington. And most of us know him as Mr. Jeremy, what's that? The sweet potato. Come on, tell me.
The sweet potato pie man.
There you go. Mr. Jeremy, the sweet potato pie man. Please welcome Jeremy Washington. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I basically want to talk about this great book, a book of inspirational quotes, giving people hope, knowledge, and courage on how to deal and manage life situations and dilemmas. And as most of you know, I do the inspirational moments on Old School 105.7, which is one of our sponsors. So this book is of definite interest to me because I believe in inspirational quotes and how they help us in life, how they help us through situations. I find in your book that you have a lot of quotes that seem very old school, as one would say. Mm-hmm. And I read something about you being a quote-unquote old soul. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yes. Growing up, I grew up around a lot of seniors, a lot of adults. I didn't have really a childhood to where I didn't play games, I didn't play basketball. Granted, I was with my great-grandmother watching Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful. Or during the summer times, I went to Texas to visit my great-grandmother and great-grandpa. Mm-hmm. And I played bingo with them.
Right.
So went to senior centers with them. So therefore, they instilled so much knowledge and wisdom in me.
Absolutely.
Which I think is very pertinent with what the youth should have in their lives nowadays.
Because a lot of that keeps you grounded.
It does. It builds a foundation.
There you go. Exactly. So tell me about your book. You took all of this wisdom and knowledge and your foundation and you wrote it all down and said, okay, pow! Words of wisdom. I love the name. I do. I get excited when I say it. Pow! Words of wisdom.
And see, that was the thing. Pow is such a bold word.
It is indeed.
It's one of those keynote words that can just stick in your head and say, what does that really mean? Mm-hmm. If it's sitting on a bookshelf, it catches your eye.
What does it mean to you?
Pow comes from powerful.
There you go.
Bold, deep, captivating.
Mm-hmm.
And as you see, it gives you something to talk about.
Right.
So I wanted something that would provoke. And so that is, POW has been a trademark of mine for a little while now. Mm-hmm. So therefore, why not name it the title of my book?
Wonderful. Tell us about the book. Because I could talk about it all day because I think it's absolutely fabulous, but I want you to tell us.
Well, when people say, well, when did you decide to be an author? I didn't.
I just kind of wrote it down and it happened.
I wrote notes in my iPad in the notes section, and then my business mentor, Aisha Goins, she said I needed a product to better my brand, to begin to brand myself even more. Mm-hmm. And granted, yes, my pies, Mr. Jeremy's homemade sweet potato pies.
Yes, we want to make sure that because my staff has already ordered some, so we want to make sure everybody knows about those.
You know the slogan though: fresh, smooth, creamy, no lumps, no shrinks, but buttery crust.
That's right. It's all on your ad in the urban voice.
Indeed.
I saw it. That's right. See, I do pay attention. You know
what
he said?
Research.
He said about me. He said, "Well, people usually don't know, but see, that's why you don't know me because you do the research." Pow. That's right. Pow. I love it. I love it.
But with the book, so I just accumulated just quotes through life experiences, learning from my great-grandmother or my Aunt Julia or even my mother or grandmother, and then also going to church. So my pastor and first lady, receiving words from them and interpreting them and how I receive them. Mm-hmm. So those notes came from, sermons as well, and just, writing them down, breaking them down to where I felt, how I took how they felt.
It's funny because when I'm sitting in church, a lot of times I'll be writing notes on the side, and the pastor will say one thing, and then, as you just said, you write your interpretation of it, how you feel it, how you receive it, how you receive it.
But people go to church nowadays, and you ask them, or they say church was good.
What was it about?
What was it about? Oh, well, I don't know. Taking notes is key.
What are some of your favorite quotes? You need me to give it to you because you got them marked in.
Yeah, I do have them
marked. You got What are some of your favorite quotes? Give me a couple of them and why.
Okay. Pain is temporary, but your sanity is forever. The way you manage them will determine your peace. We're going through so much strife in the world nowadays to where peace of mind is key. You have teenagers committing suicide day after day, breaking up with boyfriends or girlfriends.
Right.
That peace of mind is what people need to manage life.
Right.
So to me, that is very bold. You are worth more than what's in between your legs. Learn your worth and your value. Pow.
How?
You know,
I'm
you
not
see
even going to expound upon that one, just pow.
Okay, there you go. See, Powell sums it all up.
Right.
Know your circle. Make sure everyone in your boat is rowing and not drilling holes when you aren't looking.
Yikes.
So many people say they're on your team, and they're really not.
they're not.
They may be patting you on the back, but stabbing you at the same time.
Right, right. That's one way of saying it, rowing the boat and drilling holes at the same time.
Right.
Loving it.
Stop believing everything you hear. Just because someone said it doesn't make it law.
That's so true. And that includes the pastors and the politicals.
Very much so. And another good one, too. What you sow in tears, you shall reap in joy.
Oh, gosh.
We go through so many
You're
struggles.
going to make me cry because I do. You know, this is struggles, it's life, and you cry, and you pray, and you wish, and then somehow it all works out.
And that's why I tell people, don't hate the process of what you go through. That process is what builds the character. That's what builds your standard, your morals, all of that. So therefore, when you come out, you can look back and say, wow, I'm struggling than what I thought I really was.
Exactly.
So what you sow in tears, you will reap in joy.
And that is so true. It's true for a lot of us. It says that you have a great spirit, that you're well loved, spreads genuine love, and does all of this with an infectious smile. There you go. Look at that. Has an outgoing personality and yet remains humble. And I love that about you. And that was said one of your Linus Taylor.
Correct, yeah.
And we want to say thank you for sending that in because we appreciate it. For more information on how Words of Wisdom and Mr. Jeremy Washington, I believe we can probably use the same phone number to get those sweet potato pies, too. The book is available on Amazon. You can also get it on your Kindle, and you can purchase them. Again, it's POW, Words of Wisdom. Great inspirations. I tell you, it's well worth you investing in it. Go to MrGrandJeremy.com. That's MrGrandJeremy.com. It's right there on the screen. And, of course, for more information, you can also call. Not only information on the book, but to order the wonderful sweet potato pies, which are creamy with no lumps, buttery, and all that good stuff.
There you go.
702-758-5250. That's 702-758-5250. Mr. Jeremy, I appreciate you coming and sharing with us.
Thank you kindly.
You're kind of in trouble because you didn't bring a pie, but I'm going to let you slide because I expect one real soon.
Oh, and that means I can come back next time when Volume 2 comes out.
You absolutely can come back when Volume 2 comes out.
Perfect.
That is POW, Words of Wisdom, available on Amazon. You can also get it on Kindle, and that is Mr. Jeremy Washington. Thank you again. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Lillian McMorris Show is produced by Tego and Associates Productions. Multi-camera shoots either in our studio or on location. That's Tego and Associates Productions. Give us a call at 702-509-7728.
You know your business could really benefit from a great mobile app. Being accessible on mobile devices everywhere can take you to new heights of audience interaction that will improve sales, service, and your customers' overall experience. Thankfully, we're here to help. We can help you build a beautiful mobile app and mobile website. Rely on our expertise to handle everything from start to finish affordably and professionally. Contact us for a free demo to see what an app for your business would look like.
And welcome back. We appreciate you staying with us. And now it's time for just a wee bit of education. And it's some things that people do not want to talk about. And for instance, in African American culture, if someone is considered mentally ill, we just take care of them, we love them up, we keep them at home, we teach them maybe how to do a couple of things in the house. In the Asian community, they're cuddled up, they're loved up. If you have business, they end up, you see a bed behind the cash register or what have you, because they're right there, they're not exposed. In various other cultures, they're just considered crazy. And it's really too bad because there's millions and millions of people that have various aspects of mental illness, whether it be depression, bipolar disorder, or just mere confusion in life. I have a doctor who has written a book called 4-Step Process to Mental Illness. It's a home guide. Please welcome Dr. Smith, H.V. Smith, PhD.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And his PhD is in emotional disturbance and bipolar disorder,
That's correct.
right?
Yes, concentration and schizophrenia as well.
Oh, concentration and schizophrenia as well. He is a special education coordinator for the Clark County School District. And the statistics are unbelievable. Let's start there.
Yes, just in about itself, we have a little bit over, the census are changing and it's growing, but a little bit over 3 million people. And out of those 3 million people, at least 100,000, and that's just recorded cases, it's much higher, have been diagnosed with some type of mental illness. In Nevada alone, just looking at our school district, we have an alarming amount of students with disabilities who have also been diagnosed with mental illness.
Now,
and, I'm sorry.
No, we want to talk about the ages because from what I understand, most kids that have been diagnosed, they don't even get through middle school.
Yes, unfortunately. That's an issue that we're dealing with. For example, over 65% of our youth, 14 years and older, who have been diagnosed with mental illness and a known disability or diagnosed disability actually drop out of school. So that's one of the areas that we definitely need to improve.
Correct.
Actually, just to make sure that we offer additional services for those students and to make sure that we increase their graduation rate.
So how do we get there? Because you have to go through the parents, go through the school district, go through the psychologist, make sure the medication is taken. And that's a whole nother level because
That's
of the
right.
medication, it turns into drug abuse, et cetera, et cetera. So
Oh,
let's get
yes.
this part, and then we're going to talk about the drug abuse, because a lot of that is to, quote unquote, silence the voices or bring you back to normal somehow.
I was a psychometrist at one point for a school district, more than one, and I diagnosed myself. Early intervention is the key. Definitely recognizing those signs and symptoms and whether an evaluation is warranted. One of the things that we're trying to do to help combat and actually diagnose these kids a little bit earlier is our preschool programs. Those are first and foremost. They help a great deal, and they actually alert us that something may be wrong. We try to actually alert parents to get his or her support, their support.
How does that work out?
It's a challenge sometimes. For some parents, they already know that something is wrong and they want the help and they seek the help.
Right.
And for others, we have an enormous amount of kids who are actually in the foster care system as well. So we don't always have parents or guardians who have educational consent. That can be difficult. Or we have parents we are unable to find them. And getting actually the parental support and permission to test has been major as well.
Oh, wow. So how do you get around that? What do you do?
Very, very
Because
difficult.
we have to reach those parents.
We get social workers involved to reach those parents, and actually, when they're awarded to the state actually awards a guardian that actually has
guardian ad litem.
Yes, exactly. And they normally have education permission, as well as certain permissions to render certain health cares and things like that. And normally we get the permission from them.
Okay. So that kind of helps that population, but our regular populations going to like the Clark County School District who have parents or a parent, the difficulty is reaching that parent or a parent to get permission to say, okay, your child has a problem, let's fix it.
Yes, sometimes. That can be a problem. And another problem sometimes that we have or that we face is just once we do have that permission, we do have the kid diagnosed as having the parental involvement to make sure that all the interventions are carried out and getting that additional support. Sometimes that can be a challenge.
And now with a large percentage of our youth being on one drug or another, how are we handling that?
Well, a number of things.
Okay.
Normally, the one thing, especially with our adolescents, that a lot of people don't understand, and especially when we have kids who are suffering with, who are emotionally disturbed, they may have bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. A lot of those medications are needed, and we cannot force them to take it.
Correct.
Unfortunately, what we have to do is hope that they will. As a result, a lot of our kids also are self-medicating and turning to other drugs, and as a
Yes.
result, that's leading to a lot of alcohol abuse, drug abuse. The research on starting medications early to an adolescent is astounding on the correlation between them taking that drug and possibly being addicted to another drug. So we do have a lot of self-medicating there, taking other drugs, alcohol, marijuana use, a number of other things.
And
So-
also abusing the actual drug that has been prescribed.
Yes, especially. Some of the drugs are very addictive, so that can be an issue as well. And one of the things that I recommend especially, I'm a big proponent of cognitive behavior therapy, and that's what I do.
Okay.
I do believe that sometimes medications are needed, but I do think that in some particular cases that we have to teach kids the therapeutic techniques and steps, so if they're not taking the medication, they can be able to recognize how to control those unwanted behaviors.
Now, that would include getting the parents involved.
Absolutely.
And in this day and age, that must be a challenge.
In the book, it's
we're
4-step
gonna talk
process
about that. As a matter of fact-
to mental illness.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a break right now.
Okay.
And when we come back, let's talk about briefly incarceration, of course.
Okay.
And then the 4-step process to mental illness, and how you've got it in the book, how people can utilize your book as a guide. Okay, let's
Okay.
do that. We're talking to Dr. Smith, and he has written a book, Awareness on Mental Illness, 4-Step Process, and it's a home guide. And there's a lot of good information in here in reference to mental illness, the process, how to identify it, and maybe some cognitive things to do with the disorders that you see within your child. So we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be right back. You can find out more. You can give Dr. Smith a call at 702-817-5211, or you can email him at Hurleys, that's HEARLES at Yahoo,
Leys.
LEYS at yahoo.com. It's HV Smith, PhD. And so he'll be glad to respond to you. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back. We'll talk a little more about the book. We're talking to Dr. Smith and his book, 4-Step Process to Mental Illness, a Home Guide. You can get it through the internet on Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Noble. And if you're like most of us, yes, you can read it on your Kindle. So it is available to us, and it has loads of information about various processes that one can go through to not only help someone with mental illness, but help ourselves. There also is some community outreach that you're going to be doing, so let's talk about that a little bit before we get into the book. You've got something going on within the community to try to help parents.
Yes. Just recently, a few months ago, I did something at the Doolittle Community Center. And I'm working with actually the senator, with Lawrence Wheatley, and a number of others, where we're going to have a community outreach, and I'm looking at late August. One of the things that we want to do is catch parents right when school is about to start.
Okay.
To provide them with that additional information. Just some information on early identification, on for them living a stress-free life that can actually translate to their family and actually just being healthy and healthy living. And on how to identify, or if we suspect such things as autism, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, or just anxiety disorders.
The percentage of our students with autism has risen over the past few years.
Oh, yes. It has.
Immensely.
Yes.
Is that because it's identifiable now, or I have my own suspicions, and I'm going to keep those to myself. But it could be because it's
Right.
identifiable now.
I think just last year, I would say, the research stated that autism was 1 in 98, and now it's around 1 in 63.
1 in 63.
Yes, so actually it's increasing alarmingly. And I think one of the reasons why we normally use the diagnostical and statistical manual to diagnose. And we actually changed the way that we diagnose autism now. Before we used to have such things that was known as Asperger's, which is a form of autism.
Yes,
we had,
yes.
and now we have a diagnostic statistical manual that states that we have to diagnose everything on an autism spectrum. As a result, it just opens up the gamut for a number of other diagnoses that we used to put in other categories, such as schizophrenia. I think that that's part of the reason.
Why did you write the book?
Basically, I was looking at a number of things, the Colorado shooting, the Aurora shooting, and I was very alarmed. I was doing a lot of therapy with families that I was helping and I was supporting, and I was very disturbed by the amount of people who said that they did not see any signs and symptoms. There's always signs and symptoms. They're always there. And whether people want to accept them, whether they want to ignore them, or if they just don't know what to look for. I said that we have to bring awareness and early identification. We can stop a number of shootings, suicide, a number of things. It's a matter of fact, if we just give people some knowledge, basic knowledge that they need on what to look for, and if they see these things, how to get the support.
Okay.
And that's why I developed the book.
And getting support, you're correlating with, or collaborating, I should say, with various agencies here in Southern Nevada.
Yes, that's correct. Getting that support. It's a matter of fact, on campus we have communities in schools. And I'm working with communities in schools, actually with parents, with students with disabilities,
Right.
to actually bring about more outreach and to educate them on the number of agencies and things like that, that they can use, working with those communities like Opportunity Village and things like that. Just anything to get that extra support and help that they may need that can make a difference.
Now, being the special education coordinator with the Clark County School District, what is it that, I guess my question would be, what is your biggest challenge in not only finding the students, but kind of directing them and their parents or guardians to the right direction versus them being put on the retarded or bad list or emotionally disturbed list?
I guess one of the biggest challenges is the number of special education students that are coming to Clark County. It's a very transient city and state, and as a result, we get a lot of out-of-district students and a lot of students with special needs. And just making sure that we have the proper funding for it, making sure that these students are educated in what's called their least restrictive environment, and making sure, again, that we do have the parental support to get everything that we need so that we can continue the diagnosing process.
Now, the diagnosing process does not stop within the school. You give them, well, as I spoke earlier, of collaborating, you give them opportunities to go for a conference or go to sit with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or behavioral analyst.
Well, actually, it's a little bit different. What we do is we diagnose a disability, for example, specific learning disability, autism. You may have a diagnosis of health impaired.
Okay.
Based on that information, we've already collaborated with whoever we need. For example, if it's a diagnosis of health impaired, we normally have the medical information that's needed for that particular diagnosis. One of the things that we bring in, say, for example, if we're diagnosing a kid who suffers with autism, is a speech therapist who then does an evaluation as well. So pretty much with us, we don't need those other outside agencies just to diagnose what we need for disability purposes. However, a lot of those students need additional follow-up, additional support,
That's what I'm
additional
speaking of.
counseling.
Yes.
We can recommend services such as we have social workers going into the home, helping and supporting, but sometimes it goes beyond that.
Yes.
And one of the things that we have done is try to recommend places and other outside resources that can help parents so that they can get that additional support that they may need.
They need the support, and the student needs the support.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's what I was talking about, the collaboration of additional outside resources, because I know our school district has a myriad of things that we can do to help all students, whether
Right.
they have mental illness or they're the straight A perfect student. But when it comes to those that need that little extra help,
Yes.
and that going to talk to someone or going to be analyzed, and of course the medication, school district can't do that, so of course they have to go
Right.
to a psychiatrist in order
Absolutely.
to get that. So this is a 4-step process to mental illness. It's a home guide, and I highly recommend that parents get this and take a look at it and read it, because it's filled with information that we don't discuss. These are things you don't talk about. You set the
Exactly.
person on the front row of church. You put a blanket over them. You tell the child to go in the back row, sit down, and be quiet, and give them something to play with. I mean, but these are things that have to be addressed.
One very important point that I want to piggyback on, you talked about different types of cultures, and that's another whole show. But in certain cultures, it's taboo for us to talk about mental illness. We can't see anyone. Mm-hmm. If you see anyone, you're considered crazy. And one of the things that I'm doing in the book and I'm trying to do is tear down that stigma.
Correct.
In other cultures, I talk to certain cultures and I speak to them and they're like, oh, if you don't have a psychiatrist to talk to or a psychologist to talk to, then something is wrong. It's a part of the norm. Mm-hmm. And it's a part of an upper echelon of a social group. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we need to do is try to set a balance and a standard so that all can get the support and the help that they need without having that stigma and breaking down just the stigma that goes along with mental illness.
I like what you said, setting the balance and giving support.
Yes.
For more information on setting the balance and getting support, and of course our book, 4-Step Process to Mental Illness, a Home Guide by H.B. Smith, PhD, which you can get at Barnes & Noble as well as Amazon and read it on your Kindle. You can also give him a call at 702-817-5211 or you can email it, and the email should be right on the screen, hearleys@yahoo.com. 4-Step Process to Mental Illness aims to lower the stigma of mental illness through increased understanding and knowledge of mental health. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you having
Thank
me.
you so much.